That's another thing. Calvin is someone that he's like, when I ain't had no pops, Calvin was the person that you feel me, stepped in them shoes. So no matter if he's not my coach, anything like that, he's always gonna be in my life.
That's it.
Can you allude to more about growing up with Lamont Roach in the gym? I know you said it was empty.
Oh man, them two used to go at it. You know what I'm saying? You know, Tank was from Baltimore, Roach was from DC, and not knowing that Tank is home.
That just leaves somebody at a distinct disadvantage, and I think that's unfair. And so that's how I look at it, and that's what bothers me about Gervonta fighting this guy.
When Lamont Roach Jr. allegedly hinted that Coach Calvin Ford wasn't pulling his weight during Gervonta "Tank" Davis's training camp, Tank didn't stay silent. He fired back with unfiltered passion, fiercely defending his longtime trainer. In a heated moment caught on camera, Davis slammed Roach's comments as not just baseless, but flat-out disrespectful. The intense exchange showcased Davis's deep loyalty to Ford and underscored the growing tensions following the highly debated majority draw between Davis and Roach.
Lamont, I don't know the exact details or stuff that we've heard, but I think he's going to have Calvin in his corner this time. I think he will have Kenny, but he's not going to have Calvin. I think that's probably going to be like an advantage for you since he's going to have somebody new in his corner, if I'm not mistaken.
More than likely. I think that's a little weird. You know what I'm saying? Be with your trainer, your lifetime, your career trainer, and to you know, to not have him as your head trainer in the corner. So that might be a difference maker for him. You never know. I think me personally as a boxing fan, I think Calvin fits him the best. Knowing boxing inside and out, I think Calvin fits him the best. So, you know, who knows?
Lemon, I'm not totally sure on the exact details. It's just what we've been hearing. But I think Tank might not have Calvin in his corner this time. He might have Kenny instead. If that's true, it could actually work to your advantage. Since having someone new in your corner in a big fight like this is a major shift, honestly, it feels strange, you know? To spend your whole career with one trainer, someone who knows you inside and out, and then not have him leading you in the corner. That could be a game changer. Personally, as a boxing fan, I think Calvin is the best fit for him. He just understands the sport on another level. But hey, we'll see how...
So, Rick Glazer is reporting that Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach sold 149,000 pay-per-view buys. And he tweeted this report at Turkey Ala Sheik. Coincidence? Truthful? Do you trust Rick Glazer's reporting on this issue? If you do, let me know why. If you don't, let me know why not. But you best believe I have a long video coming on this later today. Y'all be sure to check that out. We'll see y'all soon. Peace.
When Gervonta Davis faced off against Lamont Roach Jr. at Barclays Center on March 1, 2025, the night delivered far more than just a hard-fought battle. It sparked an unfolding saga. The fight ended in a controversial majority draw, marking the first stain on Tank's previously perfect record. But beyond the scorecards, it triggered deeper drama. Questions surrounding Coach Calvin Ford, tension within Davis's camp, and the high-voltage build-up to an inevitable rematch.
So Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach goes to a majority decision draw, with Tank retaining his WBA lightweight title. Now, I did not score this fight a draw. I had it 7-5 to Lamont Roach. I thought he had the ring generalship and effective pressure. You know, he was landing the jab and effective combinations. Tank, as usual, had a very low output, and he was relying on one big shot. You know, I gave Roach the first 3 rounds, Tank the next 3 rounds, and then Roach Ford the last 6 rounds to win the fight. Not to mention, Tank did take a knee in the middle of the fight. You know, by rule, that should have been considered a knockdown. Yes, it was to get his mouthpiece, and that's why they didn't rule it a knockdown. But anytime a fighter takes a knee, that's a knockdown. And that would have given Roach 1 more point to win the fight. Now, I'm sure they'll run it back. I mean, Lamont Roach absolutely deserves a rematch. He just had the fight of his life. He wasn't scared to go toe-to-toe with Tank. You know, landing his combinations, the bigger counters, and the more effective shots. He definitely deserves a second payday. Now, in the co-main event, Gary Antoine Russell put on an amazing performance. I think he won 11 or 12 rounds against Raya Valenzuela. Great hand speed, good combinations, you know, masterclass to win the WBA title. And then in the featured bout, Alberto Puello beat Sandor Martin to retain his WBC title. He landed the cleaner left hands, Definitely won the last 2 to 3 rounds to edge the fight. But overall, good card. I do think Roach won the fight, though.
Keyshawn Davis didn't hold back in his critique of Gervonta "Tank" Davis, claiming that Tank lacked focus during his bout with Lamont Roach. According to Keyshawn, Tank's mind wasn't entirely in the ring, a factor that may have impacted his performance. Many fans echoed that sentiment, pointing to outside distractions as a major reason behind Tank's underwhelming showing in the much-anticipated showdown.
He take a knee. You need to lose like 10-8 that round at least, no? And plus the corner go up and put it a towel in the face. That's a disqualification for sure.
To override his decisions or knockdowns. Some skeptics have suggested that Willis's call benefited Davis unfairly, but we do not subscribe to that notion. In our long experience judging fights, we see no evidence of favoritism, only a referee prioritizing the physical safety of a fighter who appeared compromised by an eye injury, which I actually get. I understood that statement because, hey, look, Steve Willis he didn't call it a knockdown.
You take a knee like that, that looks like a knockdown, all right?
So I think it's going to be very difficult for the New York State Athletic Commission to review this. And
I feel like, looking at the bigger picture, Tank just wasn't fully focused. You could see it. He was arguing in the ring, getting distracted, doing things that showed his mind wasn't completely locked in. He even admitted there were things going on outside of boxing leading up to the fight, and honestly, that's normal. I've been through the same thing before my own fights. But still, his lack of focus showed. Davis's underwhelming performance against Lamont Roach left a lot of fans disappointed and sparked real questions about whether he's still operating at his peak. The absence of his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, only added to the speculation. Some believe not having Ford in his corner may have played a major role.
But I must ain't do it enough.
Can you describe what the feeling was like in the ring? And was it to get the towel to get the burn out of your eyes, or what was going on? And
I didn't want to get caught. I didn't want to get caught while my eyes was burning. And like you can get knocked out like that. So I'd rather take the knee than, But I didn't really know that you can get disqualified for all that. Or when you start counting, I'm like, what the hell? But
I feel like, looking at the bigger picture, Tank just wasn't fully focused. You could see it. He was arguing in the ring, getting distracted, doing things that showed his mind wasn't completely locked in. He even admitted there were things going on outside of boxing leading up to the fight, and honestly, that's normal. I've been through the same thing before my own fights. But still, his lack of focus showed. Davis's underwhelming performance against Lamont Roach left a lot of fans disappointed and sparked real questions about whether he's still operating at his peak. The absence of his longtime trainer, Calvin Ford, only added to the speculation. Some believe not having Ford in his corner may have played a major role in Tank not looking like his usual self.
he forget that, let me take a knee. That's a knockdown. But either way, it looked like they may have an immediate rematch. Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis goes back and forth on X, and here's what they say. Which it seems to me that, okay, if the New York State Athletic Commission overturns the result of the fight, then yeah, it's an immediate rematch anyway. Like Lamont Roach said, he has it in the contract. But if it remains a draw, it looks like Tank's still going to push for the rematch. And I'm hearing that, the fight that they were going to have, which would delay this rematch, was a fight with Pitbull. You can argue that a rematch with Lamont Roach would be far bigger than a rematch with Pitbull. But let me know how you feel in the comments below. Showbiz adult.
The turning point came in round 9 when Gervonta Davis unexpectedly took a knee after absorbing a jab, an action that even referee Steve Willis later admitted should have been ruled a knockdown. However, Willis let it go, allowing Davis's corner to wipe his face without issuing a count. The crowd erupted in boos, and the boxing world quickly called foul. After the fight, Davis blamed the incident on a greasy hair product that had irritated his eyes, forcing him to kneel, an excuse. that many found hard to believe. Meanwhile, Lamont Roach stood.
Well, it was just the work. When we first started, man, it was nobody in the gym. And how would I sit there and say one kid and another kid and another kid, and they seen the love that we was giving. Everybody keeps thinking it's boxing. It's not boxing. It's basically giving them an opportunity to be themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and I always preach that because I sit there and tell them all the time. I say, all us gonna get old, so I need y'all to grow up quick.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So when we in the gym, we're not just teaching boxing, we teaching life skills.
So
what are they gonna do to me?
Nothing.
And y'all seen the results.
Seen the results.
You seen the results of it. You know, everybody kept saying it was this, it was that. You know what I'm saying? And they only found increments of it. You know what I'm saying? But it spoiled the win.
Exactly.
It spoiled the win, but like...
Addressing the controversy in round 9, Gervonta Davis explained that he took a knee because something had gotten into his eye, and he didn't want anyone to notice. He openly admitted he wasn't fully aware of the potential consequences, saying, "I didn't know I could get disqualified for this." His statement has only intensified the debate surrounding the fight's outcome, with...
What's the best for him? I'm hoping that he do what I need him to do. You know what I'm saying? You see how I asked him, are you ready? You know what I'm saying? Because I need somebody that's going to really push things so I can see different levels of it. This time I had a chance to step back, and everybody keeps saying, they changing up stuff. No, we ain't changed up anything. It's the same thing we always do. You know?
Going into the the training camp, how was it? Or you said yes, you stepped back a little bit. Well, how was it? Splitting the time. How's it going to be splitting the time to
no, this is something
Saturday night?
That we do all the time. You know what I'm saying? Right now, y'all know all I got to do is speak. Then take out history since I was a kid.
Following their controversial bout, tensions between Gervonta Davis and Lamont Roach spilled over onto social media, particularly on X, formerly Twitter. The two fighters traded jabs online, debating the result of their first clash and teasing the possibility of a rematch. Their public back and forth kept fans and analysts hooked, fueling the fight.
They won't cover the fact of the live podcast will not cover the fact that Calvin and Kenny, they got fired. Now, if Devin fired me, it would be, huh? Well, they got fired. I didn't know that was real. I thought that was some cat. They're trying to be quiet. Man, they done got fired, man. Them people done got fired, man. They hoping they get hired. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they're working on getting back. Man, Calvin came on there with them. He had them GTD first shorts, with them GTD leggings, with that GTD Kango cap, with that GTD glasses, GTD shirt. Man, guess what? The man gave him a hug, man, and left him in the hallway. And everybody want to act like that they not really. See, they keep that magnifying glass on us, and yeah.
Now he's like, forget that, let me take a knee. That's a knockdown. Either way, it looks like an immediate rematch might be on the horizon. Roach and Gervonta Tank Davis have been going back and forth on X, and here's the deal. If the New York State Athletic Commission decides to overturn the fight's result, then yeah, an immediate rematch is basically locked in, especially since Roach says he already has a rematch clause in the contract. But even if the draw stands, it seems like Tank is still pushing for a rematch. From what I'm hearing, the other option was a fight against Isaac Pitbull Cruz. But honestly, you could argue that a rematch...
That was good, you know what I mean? With us, it's always good. Of course, boxing is boxing, and you can see have some unforeseen things go on. But for the most part, we had a great time.
Very good. And how's he looking at camp? What are you expecting from him on fight night?
He was sharp, just to be Tank. You know what I mean? Tank being Tank. Just a little different for us because this is somebody that's close, to us. You know what I mean? Somebody we got love for. And normally the people we fight, people we don't know. So you can be as mean as nasty as you want to. But for this fight, we got to cast our feelings aside for that 36 minutes, or whatever it is, and take care of business. That's it. Yeah.
Calvinford has stood in Gervonta Davis's corner since childhood, helping shape him from a troubled kid into a multi-division world champion. But Ford has always been more than just a coach. He's a mentor, a father figure, and a community leader who turned his own life around to guide others. After serving 10 years in federal prison during the 1980s, Ford returned to West Baltimore with a mission: to use boxing as a lifeline for at-risk youth. That mission led him to a 7-year-old Davis at the Upton Boxing Center, where he took the young fighter under his wing.
Tiring, and he was done. And now he said that.
Y'all have to understand. He a young man. He have a family. He want to do something, enjoy something. Don't take some time out. I took a little bit of time out. You know what I'm saying? It refreshes you, gets you back on that. So tonight, he had a chance for me not being around him a lot. You know what I'm saying? I stepped in and I seen how he missed me and how I missed him. You know what I'm saying? I just can't wait to see that performance.
Despite a bond forged over decades, Gervonta Davis and his longtime head trainer, Calvinford, temporarily parted ways in the lead-up to Davis's March 1st, 2025, clash with Lamont Roach.
Calvin, he been with me since I was 7. I used to sleep in Coach Calvin's house. I used to sleep at his job when he was working at a seafood restaurant in Baltimore.
When I had to train Tank, when I didn't want him to get in trouble and I wanted to make sure we was together, I used to take him to work with me. And he'd chill. Everybody know him. Everybody know him at work.
Remember, Calvin used to fuss at the guys that was coming up with me, and they was in the streets a lot. He was telling them, you can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. You gotta be, all the way in it. Focus on the goal, and them guys, they went left, and unfortunately, they got killed.
You weigh the odds out like that. Do you want him to go to jail, or you want him to live? That's the whole idea, to come to the boxing gym.
If I ain't had the people I had around me, the people that started with me and things like that, I probably would have been off the scene for a long time.
Bill Haney, father and trainer of Devin Haney, didn't hold back in criticizing Gervonta Davis for parting ways with Calvinford. In a recent interview, Haney made it clear that the decision to cut ties was entirely Davis's, and he voiced serious concern about the possible consequence.
Calvinford, what does he mean to you when you hear that name? What does he mean when you first hear that?
A father.
Mm-hmm.
Father. And then he's one of the guys that held a lot of this, this whole family together. Mm-hmm. Him with Kenny. But for sure, them two, they held the whole camp together, for sure.
Wouldn't be here without him? Would you say that? Without Calvin?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't be here without him. Just off of the fact of when I was coming to the gym, I was getting that love that I ain't have at home type stuff. So it was always Calvin, saying I walked through the gym, Calvin, looking for him type stuff.
He told me he used to come to the gym and you'd be outside, sleep in front of the gym, in front of the door.
Yeah, I used to run from I go to school, and then from school, I go straight to the gym. Don't tell my grandma or nothing. Just go straight to the gym. And the gym was closed. The gym didn't even, I used to get out of school probably 3 o'clock, and the gym didn't open till 4:30. I'd just be outside just sleeping on the front of the gym, just waiting. Police grabbed me before, get up. Think I'm just out here just grab me, what you doing out here? I'm waiting on the gym.
All for a reason.
Yeah.
All for a reason.
Facts.
Does your team get nervous before fights?
I don't know. They probably do. I don't. But I don't get nervous. Yeah. Well, I'm lying. Any fighter that say they don't get nervous, they.
Another member of Davis's team, trainer Barry, took a more neutral stance on Calvinford's absence. While recognizing Ford's skill and impact as a coach, Barry downplayed the situation, simply stating, "Boxing is boxing," suggesting that such shifts, though notable, are just part of the game.
My journey's crazy. That's why I said that. I said, you can't write this, man. You cannot write this. My experience being gone and all the stuff that I went through preparing me for where I'm at today. That Tank is older. He had the lessons, getting his lessons of what he got to do, take us the rest of the way. And this is his take us the rest of the way fight.
Calvin Ford opted not to travel with Gervonta Davis for that training camp, choosing instead to focus on mentoring youth back home. He was clear that it wasn't a breakup, but a strategic pause. "I'm still part of it, just from a different perspective," Ford explained, emphasizing that the time apart gave both him and Davis a deeper.
It just went like like you said. We looked at 3 rounds. Brian was calling out, "Yo, I need 3. We got 1. I need 2. He got the 2." But he forgot where he was at. He thought he was still in the 8th round. He thought he still had rounds to go.
Thought he still had rounds to go. Thought he was in the 8th round.
He was good. We just couldn't figure out why he wouldn't pick it up.
Right. And so I think it was maybe.
Without Calvin Ford in his corner, Gervonta Davis fought Lamont Roach to a draw, marking the first blemish on his undefeated record and sparking widespread speculation that Ford's absence had cost him strategically. The aftermath of the controversy led to a swift reunion.
What didn't he do in this fight that you felt he could have done and whatnot, and pretty much opened the fight up to being a draw?
Well, like I said again, they've been knowing each other since they were in Roach. He stepped up for the cause. He stepped up. You know what I'm saying? Again, Tank history, I always sit there and tell you, I don't like knockouts, like punishment. You know what I'm saying? And then sometimes things got to happen to make you get back to where you belong at. You know what I'm saying? And that was a good, skillful-ass fight. Skillful. Both of them would take certain chances. Some of them take chances. You know what I'm saying? We seen, it was like we was on a boat, and it was just like this, you know? But
The gym became a second home for Gervonta Davis, a place where he found the love, structure, and guidance that had often been missing in other parts of his life. To Davis, Calvin Ford wasn't just a coach. He was a true father figure.
I feel like Tank overall, like the bigger picture, he just wasn't focused for real. He, doing a lot of arguing in the ring and just a lot of stuff that wasn't like, he wasn't just focused. He wasn't all the way locked in the ring. You heard him say something like, it's a lot of things going on outside the ring that he was leading up to the fight, and shit, that's natural, you know what I'm saying? It's normal. Shit, I was going through the same thing leading to this last fight, you know, so I just feel like he just wasn't focused.
As rumors swirled, Gervonta Davis addressed them directly, reassuring fans that Calvin Ford was still very much part of his journey. "Calvin ain't going anywhere, and I'm not going anywhere either," Davis declared, firmly dismissing talk of a split. Ford, however, took a more reflective tone. He acknowledged that his role in Davis's career might be nearing its natural conclusion, saying he had taught Tank everything he could. If Davis was ready to move on, Ford said he'd accept it, with no hard feelings. His message was clear: